This group of gang members kidnapped an ex-US Marine's wife. They never thought he would be so strong, however. He confronts the criminals and engages in intense fights to save his wife and take down the gang. Find out what happened next in our recap of the movie, The Marine. The film commences in an Al-Qaeda stronghold in Iraq, where fanatical radicals are primed to execute a multitude of hostages. Marine John Triton enters the scene, initiating a firefight with the terrorists, despite lacking official clearance to engage. Forced to partake in hand-to-hand combat, John swiftly eliminates the entire terrorist contingent and rescues the hostages. Despite his heroic actions, John is notified he will be honorably discharged from duty. He returns home via airplane, where his wife, Kate, welcomes him enthusiastically. Thrilled to have him back, she eagerly anticipates spending more time together. However, John struggles with the monotony of home life and begins employment as a security guard. The following day, a criminal named Rome arrives at a jewelry store. Upon entering, his fellow gang members are already in place. He feigns an examination of the precious items, then violently incapacitates the security personnel. His ally, Bennett, brandishes his weaponry, ordering everyone to hit the deck. Given that the rear glass is bulletproof, Rome grabs a woman, threatening her life if the manager doesn't open the door. The manager complies, and the woman reveals herself to be Angela, another gang member and Rome's partner, by drawing a gun. Rome proceeds to the back of the store, instructing the manager to fill a bag with diamonds. As Rome prepares to leave, the manager shouts at him, begging him to strike him to make the scene look real. Instead, Rome ends his life with a gunshot. The crew rapidly departs, with Rome unleashing a hail of bullets from a machine gun on the approaching police force. Morgan, another gang member, demolishes a police car just as they're about to flee. After the crime, police inspect the scene and suspect an inside job involving a store employee. John starts his new role as a security officer at a large corporation, taking shifts alongside his colleague, Joe. A wealthy man with 2 bodyguards strides into the office, signs in, and promptly exits. Whereas Joe relishes his job, John finds it dull. Joe extols the benefits, the pay, and the minimal work required, encouraging John to unwind. They get a call about a disturbance on the 12th floor. Up there, the affluent man is found verbally and physically assaulting his ex-girlfriend, halted only by John and Joe's arrival. When he attempts to offend Joe, John intervenes, escorting him to the ground floor, instructing him to leave. As his bodyguards catch up, the wealthy man regains his courage, provoking John into a physical confrontation. Before launching the man through a window, John incapacitates the 2 bodyguards. Consequently, John is fired for his actions and Joe gets suspended. In the aftermath, the two engage in a heartfelt conversation. Joe advises John to accept change as a natural part of life and to embrace his return home. Inspired, John decides to focus on lifting his spirits and making the most of his time with his wife, Kate. Rome and Angela have retreated to their hotel room, where Angela is troubled by the day's events at the jewelry store. Rome confesses that he killed the manager because he revealed his true identity, but otherwise everything unfolded according to their plan. Meanwhile, Joe chauffeurs John home, trying to downplay the office incident until they watch a news report revealing a security guard's rampage, which includes footage of John hurling the man through the window. John expresses his regret for the incident, but Kate suggests that he rushed back to work prematurely. She proposes that they embark on a road trip together, to which he concurs. The following day, they're on the road, eagerly anticipating their journey. When John realizes they need to refuel, they stop at a gas station, coincidentally, where Rome and his crew are also fueling up. John goes inside to buy some snacks, coincidentally crossing paths with Angela and Bennett. The arrival of a police vehicle at the station sets off alarm bells among Rome's gang. As the young officer initiates small talk about Rome's car while fueling his own vehicle, Morgan blindsides him, shooting him in the head. Rome guns down the other cop as he attempts to escape. John, hearing the chaos, tries to rush back to Kate but is knocked unconscious by Bennett. Angela adds to the body count by shooting the cashier before the group flees. They pull Kate from her car, and Rome decides to take her hostage. They quickly depart. Just as John starts to regain consciousness, Morgan fires a shot at the gas station, triggering a massive explosion that knocks John back. He comes to just in time to see the gang's vehicle speeding away with Kate. He rushes to the wounded officer's car, narrowly avoiding another explosion, and helps the surviving cop out of the car. John jumps into his car, determined to rescue his wife. He radios the police, informing them about the wounded officers and the hostage situation, pushing his car to its limits in pursuit. Angela, in the getaway Jeep, rummages through Kate's belongings and realizes she's married to a Marine. Dismissing the significance, Bennett and Morgan unleash a hailstorm of bullets on John's pursuing vehicle. Rome then attempts to force John's car off the road, but John's resolve keeps him on their tail. His car's roof is torn off as he's shoved off the road, but he doesn't slow down. Rome and his gang blind John with gunfire, causing him to veer off a cliff, and his car crashes below. When the gang arrives to inspect the wreckage, Kate yells at them in frustration. Angela menacingly brandishes a gun at Kate, but Rome steps in, asserting that Kate is their lifeline. Their vehicle is a write-off, and Viscera rebukes Morgan for his reckless gunfire, instigating a fight. Rome pacifies them, and they settle on traversing a swamp on foot to reach their destination, where they plan to exchange the stolen jewels for payment. Detective Van Buren arrives at the crime scene at the gas station, gaining knowledge about the radio transmission sent by John. Receiving a call about a vehicular crash, Van Buren rushes to the location, only to find the vehicle deserted. Suddenly, John emerges from the swamp. He briefs the detective about his kidnapped wife, and despite Van Buren's advice against pursuing, John pays no heed to it, instead declaring his intent. Warned about the perilous nature of the criminals he's chasing, John acknowledges the risks but is single-mindedly set on rescuing Kate. As the gang traverses the swamp, Kate starts resisting, but Bennett restrains her. The fatigue of the swamp journey causes friction between Morgan and Vescera, leading to another spat. In a shocking turn, Rome shoots Vescera, eliminating him without any clear cause. Simultaneously, law enforcement units scour the marshland from above and on the ground, searching for the gang. John stumbles upon the scene of Vescera's killing, retrieving his knife before resolutely continuing his pursuit. Rome gets a call from the contact awaiting the stolen jewels, but he decides to betray the man, choosing to keep the jewels for himself, essentially rendering all their actions pointless. Concurrently, John is utilizing his expert tracking skills to stay hot on their trail, and is closing in fast. He reaches a clearing in the forest, sensing imminent danger. Suddenly, Bennett lunges at him, but John quickly frees himself. A man then points a gun at John, accusing him of being law enforcement. As he attempts to clarify his mission to save his wife, another man knocks him unconscious. John wakes up in a shed tied to a chair, surrounded by two burly men anxiously stowing away their stash. They assume law enforcement is hot on their heels and begin to pummel John, skeptical of his story. With no other option, John deceives them, claiming to be a police officer tracked by GPS. This sends the men into a frenzy, and in the ensuing chaos, John manages to incapacitate one of them and escape his restraints. A violent brawl ensues, with both men fiercely throwing each other around. In the melee, John loses track of Rome, his henchman, and his wife. However, he presses on and manages to find their trail again. He reaches a riverbank, where he spots Rome, his crew, and Kate, entering an abandoned cabin in the marsh, which the gang plans to use as their hideout for the night. Kate is gradually loosening her restraints as the men go out in search of a generator. Morgan descends into the underground and commences work on the generator. Just as he starts, John lunges at him like a raging bull. Morgan manages to smash a bottle over John's head as they exchange ferocious blows. Despite this, John ends Morgan's life with a knife before he can inflict further harm. In time, Rome steps out and dials a friend, asking for a car to be stationed at a marina for a hasty getaway. Bennett steps out to kickstart a boat they require. John seizes the opportunity to ambush him, and a brawl ensues. But John's strength overpowers Bennett, killing him. Detective Van Buren encounters John and expresses his desire to take charge of the pursuit. Now that John has done the majority of the groundwork, the detective eventually concedes, allowing John to see his mission through to the end. When the lights in the lodge fail, Kate seizes the chance to make an escape. Angela gives chase and corners Kate, and a scuffle breaks out between them until Angela brandishes a gun. John storms into the lodge, only for Rome to point a gun at him. Van Buren steps in, holding his own gun to Rome's head, demanding he lower his weapon. Van Buren, however, abruptly turns his firearm on John, revealing his deceitful alliance with Rome. He demands the stolen gems from Rome, who in turn orders the detective to kill John in exchange for half of the jewels. When Van Buren hesitates, John rushes him, using him as a human shield while Rome fires at them. As Rome makes a run for it, John is compelled to do the same. With only Angela and John remaining, Rome shoots the gas cylinders beneath the lodge before fleeing with Kate. However, John manages to escape before the lodge collapses. Rome shoves Kate into the trunk of Van Buren's car and they make a getaway. When the Coast Guard attempts to apprehend John and pull him out of the water, he flips the tables, commandeering a rifle and a boat. Rome decides they need to ditch Van Buren's car, so he instructs Angela to flag down a semi-truck on the road, using her allure to get close enough to the driver to murder him. Once on the police boat, John hears a radio report of the murdered truck driver and the location of the stolen truck. By the time night falls, John reaches the marina. He overhears Rome's conversation and spots the truck. Kate sees him and creates a diversion which allows John to stealthily approach and leap onto the truck. John throws Angela from the moving vehicle, and she's fatally struck by a bus. Rome tries to shoot John, but Kate intervenes, knocking the gun away. In an attempt to dislodge John from the truck, Rome drives through several shacks, but John resiliently withstands the hits before being thrown off. The truck crashes into a building, resulting in a massive explosion, and Rome abandons the vehicle, leaving Kate chained inside. John dashes after the crashing truck, which plows through a building and ends up in the river. John finds himself ambushed by Rome, who commences an assault, knocking him down. Once John recovers, a fistfight ensues between the two, until debris from a collapsing structure lands on him. Rome seizes this moment to deliver a decisive blow, driving a sledgehammer into John's ribcage. Rome then brandishes a chainsaw, which John narrowly dodges. As Rome starts to ridicule John about his wife, a surge of adrenaline fuels John, who manages to disarm Rome, and he begins to batter him, sending him flying. John then dives into the river in search of his wife. He swims back to the truck to find Kate unconscious and shackled. He quickly frees her and hauls her to the surface, desperately trying to resuscitate her. To his relief, Kate starts coughing while in his arms. Out of the blue, Rome launches an attack on John using a chain, but John counterattacks, hurling Rome and snapping his neck in midair, instantly killing him. The couple finally share a hug and a kiss, just as the police arrive on the scene. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.